Hello and welcome to another episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy. I'm Dave G, and joining me today is my co-host.
Hello everybody, I'm Kyle.
And today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Aaron Eckhart movie that has gone onto Netflix because we're still in lockdown, so we can't go and see anything brand new at the moment, but this is brand new on Netflix, and this is a kind of interesting film because it's one of those films that kind of has come onto Netflix with very little publicity, even though this is a movie that got a very limited release in America because of the COVID situation. But like I said, it stars Aaron Eckhart. He plays Frank Penny, a police officer who is kind of disgraced after a little incident goes horribly wrong. And then he finds himself in a race against time, having to team up with Ava Brooks, a young vlogger played by Courtney Eaton, helping him out as they try to hunt down a senior police officer's daughter who has been kidnapped, and she's going to die if they basically don't find her because her time is running out. Now, the guy behind it all is Dean Keller, played by Ben McKenzie, who most people would know from the OC. And yeah, he's just a guy on a mission, and his mission is to basically kidnap this girl and then kind of sit back and watch what the police are going to do. So, mate, I got to say, this movie, it's kind of weird that it came straight onto Netflix because it's like Extraction, and it feels like a kind of movie that you need to watch on the big screen. But what did you feel watching this latest movie from Aaron Eckhart?
Yeah, I really can't say that I enjoyed this one. It does have really a B movie feel to it. I know that the director has made a lot of other B movies. I think kind of the ones that you see Bruce Willis doing for a paycheck, you know. This, like, I really hate to sound really negative right off the bat, but I really think this is one of the worst films I've ever seen, and I'd say it's definitely the worst film I've actually seen this year. I know I haven't seen many because, again, we haven't been able to see many films this year, but this is definitely one of the worst. What I think was a waste of decent actors, the script, and how story elements are introduced and how characters are introduced, how bad a lot of the action scenes are filmed, just how incoherent anything that's happening in the movie is, even how bad the extras in the background of crowd scenes are. Like, almost anything I can think of about the movie was terrible, and that's really saying something, because usually I can appreciate some elements of a film even if the rest of it is pretty bad. But this one I really can't think of very much in the movie that was a plus, or something which was really utilized very well. So I really did not enjoy this movie. What about you, David? What do you think of it?
I found this to be one of those movies where the premise sounded like it was going to be a really good premise, but it felt like the director and the screenwriter went in the wrong direction. Like, listening about this movie, it sounds like it's going to be like Phone Booth or The Call with Halle Berry a few years ago. And the fact that it's got Aaron Eckhart in it kind of made you think that, hey, this is going to be one of those movies that is going to work. Because I really loved The Call when it came out. I know a lot of people at the time were kind of like, oh, it's another dumb action movie. But I really liked that premise that this woman is trapped with a phone, like she's a call operator, and she knows that this girl's been kidnapped, but she can't do anything else. And I thought that this film was going to take that direction, but where I think this movie really messes up, and I know it would have maybe added a lot to the budget to have to try and do it this way, but I really thought that this film should have really been shot through Ava's point of view with her camera. It's making this big deal about how vloggers are more honest than big news corporations, and you're using her as a character, but they don't use her in the right way. It just felt like this movie would have had a lot more to it if the entire film had been from her point of view through her camera. Like, you could have played around with it so much. Like, even when, like, Frank throws her camera, like, if everything had still been from in that camera, and even if you'd taken a little bit of a risk and, like, put a crack in the screen after that kind of thing so that was there, I thought this would have worked a lot more, because it's worked in the past when people have done that little element. Like, you think back to Cloverfield, and that story was such a story that we'd seen a million times before, but Cloverfield made it different because it was kind of filmed almost like lost, like found footage kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even movies like Quarantine, where that's worked, like, I would have thought that with this movie, because it is kind of a story that we've seen so many times before, that a little element like that could have made it a little bit more special. And, like, if you do have some budgetary problems with being able to do action sequences and stuff, that kind of makes it a little bit more forgiving because it's all shot in camera.
Yeah. Like, I really did get the feeling that was maybe what they intended to do at one point. Because, like, the whole, like, almost, like, the whole story, the whole idea of, like, a cop being followed around by a live streamer for the entire film, like, it's kind of silly to begin with, but, like, yeah, there's other movies that have done, like, found footage things similar, and, this made me think of, the Jake Gyllenhaal, movie End of Watch.
Yep.
Yeah, so, like, I was kind of thinking that maybe at some point that's what they planned to have this movie be like, but I don't know, maybe the logistics of it just didn't work out, and they decided, we're just going to end up filming it as a regular movie. We can't figure out how to organize this. It's going to take too much time, or the budget will inflate to too much, maybe doing it that way, oddly enough. But yeah, because just the problem is there's not really any sense to why this cop is allowing this woman to follow him around, like, into gunfights with a camera.
Yeah.
Like, and she doesn't really add anything to the movie, because, like, the entire media coverage angle of the film just seems kind of awkward and pointless. Like, it really does seem like that character was supposed to be our introduction to what was happening in this movie, and that she was supposed to be the audience's eye into this world, and yeah, they just didn't go with it. Like, as it is, like, I was thinking, like, maybe, like you said, the idea that, like, live streamers are somewhat more honest about what's happening than the mainstream media or whatever. Like, I was thinking maybe the idea of this was to maybe put a better spin on the look of cops in the line of duty.
Yeah.
Like there's so much media, social media, and scrutiny on, like, anything a cop does nowadays. Like, just look at the current situation. As if, like, I was thinking, like, maybe the point of it was that, like, this is a story, like, here's a cop who's being followed around, and every action that he does is being witnessed by millions of people, and he's just trying to do the right thing. Like, that could have been an interesting idea if the movie wasn't so badly written.
Yeah.
Like, with a better director and a better writer, like, that could have actually worked. And had the movie been, a found footage kind of film of sorts, it would have actually had a point. But as it is, it's like it's basically like a major part of the movie just seems kind of pointless.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many rookie mistakes in this movie as well. Like, one of them I noticed when I was watching it, and I realized later that someone else had already picked it up and put it on IMDb under the goofs as well. Like, they make a big deal about the fact that Ava's got an electric car and it won't travel very fast. But when it flips, like, during a chase, you see an exhaust pipe underneath it, and it's like, you couldn't even go and get the car that you're talking about. Like, the actual car that they're talking about exists. Like, how easy would it have been to ring up Honda and go, oh, we need one of your electric cars? Like, it seems like such a rookie mistake that, like, And what to me, it kind of like, it's like the movie Crank with Jason Statham, where you watch it and you kind of like, you're watching it because like it's kind of entertaining, but you're picking up all this stuff in it that makes it a bad movie, and it's like, to have an exhaust pipe on what's supposed to be an electric car, to me that's like disrespectful to your audience. It's like, you couldn't even take that extra time to organize an electric car for a scene. You had to like go and do something like that, and it's just, I don't know why Aaron Eckhart agreed to do this movie, because like, when I was watching it, I kept on thinking of the Kyle Chandler film Battle Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it almost had that element to it, but with Battle Los Angeles, they were smart enough to make it like an alien invasion, so they could get away with some more of the kind of oh well, a cop shouldn't do that kind of thing. Like in that, there's times where people go, oh, soldiers shouldn't do that. It's like, we've never been in an alien invasion anymore. Who's to say what a soldier can and can't do during an alien invasion?
I think Aaron Eckhart was in that too.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you would think that if you were going to try and do something like that, you would make it so it's not like a walking cliche of a movie, so that you can kind of get away with some of the stuff, because if a cop tried to do what Aaron Eckhart does in this movie, he would be arrested. I know it's all very well for them to go, oh, well, his superior lets him do it because it's working to rescue his daughter. It's like, as far as his superior is concerned, this guy is an idiot. Like, he's just blown a case for them, and he's done it before. It's like, there is no way he'd be letting this guy go on a one-person rampage like this through a city to get, even if it is his daughter. It to me, it's like in Kiss of the Dragon. I love that movie, but I still can't get over that entire scene where it's like they smash up an entire like tunnel full of cars, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's all right, it's for the greater good. It's like that's not how it works. Like, you're either a cop that's abiding by the rules, or you're a renegade, in which case you're then an enemy to the rest of the police force. It's like, this one, you just can't carry that suspense, which is weird, because if you watch a movie like Die Hard, you can kind of suspend that belief about what's happening, but with this, it's like I just could not suspend that belief. But the whole time I was watching it, I kept on thinking, there's a good film trying to break out of this. It just needs another director, like, working on it. So,
yeah, like, I got the feeling, like, had the movie been done, like you said, like Crank or something like that, then it would have been a lot more palatable. The whole, like, the cheesiness and how ridiculous everything is. Like the idea that his captain, or Volk, the character Volk, played by Giancarlo Esposito, like the idea that he would even be in charge of a kidnapping case involving his own daughter, where she's being held hostage, is just ridiculous. Like, but of course, like, nothing in the movie really makes sense, and it doesn't really try to be plausible at all, which is fine. But the finished product just isn't enjoyable, other than like watching the movie and making fun of it. Like, I wish that we both watched this movie separately. I wish I was able to watch this movie with you, dude, because we would have, like, I might have had a bit more fun watching the movie if we were watching it together and just like laughing at it the entire time. But yeah, that it's like a very cheesy movie, but it's not handled in a way that actually makes that that actually takes advantage of that. Like, the movie has some like really like decent recognizable actors in its cast, like Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad or like Better Call Saul, Dina Meyer from Starship Troopers, Courtney Eaton from Mad Max Fury Road, Ben McKenzie from The OC and Gotham.
Yeah.
And of course, Aaron Eckhart. But all of them seem to be just completely wasted in the movie. Like, and none of them seem to really know just how bad this movie is. Like, the movie isn't cheesy enough to be enjoyable. It's just really awful. Like, Aaron Eckhart at certain points emotes like an amateur actor. And, like, when it's, like, a really dramatic scene with him, like, trying to cry or whatever, and it's just, like, this is just bad. It's not cheesy, it's not funny, it's just really bad. And, like, other members of the cast, they just pop up and disappear throughout the film without any real adequate establishment of the character or what their role in the film is.
Yeah,
like, When there is an attempt to establish a character, it's often just really blatant exposition, like a character being told, "Oh, you're a really great live streamer. You have millions of people watching you. What you say every day." Like, it's just like really awful. It's really awfully forced. It's like had it been handled better, it would have actually been a really entertaining, cheesy movie. But it's not. It's just an unironically bad movie.
I found myself when I was watching it comparing like two movies from Dwayne Johnson. I was thinking about like Rampage and Skyscraper, and how on paper you would think that Skyscraper would be the more believable movie than Rampage, because Rampage is like giant animals running around. But when you watch those two movies, Rampage actually ends up becoming more believable because of that forcedness that's in Skyscraper. I think we've talked about it on the show before, the scenes with I can't think of her name.
Campbell?
Yeah, where it's like every time he introduces her, "This is my wife. She's an ex-Marine and she can speak 4 different languages." It's like, you don't say that when you meet new people, and the fact that it's repeated 3 or 4 times during the film, and then you watch Rampage, and it's like the screenwriter with Rampage, who you could forgive for making things a little bit more unbelievable because it's about a giant gorilla that goes nuts. He keeps it more believable than the guy who's writing Skyscraper, which could be an actual story. And that's the same with this. This movie could have been, even though it is a generic story that we've seen a million times, you could have got enjoyment out of it if it was done well. And Aaron Eckhart is the kind of actor that if you give him dramatic scenes to mix with action, he can do that. We've seen him do that in the past. It's just that the poor guy has been given an absolutely woeful script to work with, and like we said before, it just feels like this movie would have been 10 times better if they'd actually done the whole thing or through the eyes of the vlogger. Like, there almost seems to be this thing in Hollywood at the moment that I've noticed where if you've got a big name in the film, it has to be shot from their point of view. Like, you can never have them as a main character, but coming from someone else's point of view, and it almost feels really ridiculous. And, like, for anyone that read my review this week for The Hunt, I kind of found the same thing with The Hunt, that it doesn't work because of so many characters in it that are interesting are kind of treated with, like, complete disrespect kind of thing. And when you go back and actually have a look at the guy who wrote this film's backstory, you actually see that he's written video games mainly in the past. Like, he's done a couple of films, but a lot of video game work, and it's like that kind of makes sense when you look at the screenplay for this, because there's a storyline in a video game, but it's normally a lot different to a storyline that you would see in a movie. There's not as much kind of descriptive work and stuff in there, and that kind of comes across in this. Like, this almost does feel like Aaron Eckhart is a video game player going from level to level. Like, you go back and think of games like Getaway and stuff like that, and this feels like that, where it's a character making their way through to get to the daughter in the end kind of thing. So I think a lot of the problem with this movie comes from the script, and it reminds me from when I was at film school, Ray Mooney, the screenwriter, said the one thing that you need to remember whenever you're writing a screenplay is a bad actor... A good screenplay can make a bad actor look good, but a good actor can't make a bad screenplay look good. And I think that's very much the case for this movie.
Yeah, like, that's the same. Just, like, we know Aaron Eckhart is a better actor than he is in this movie. We know that most of the actors in this movie are better.
Even Ben McKenzie in Gotham.
Yeah.
Like, I know people would probably look back at the OC and laugh, but he's pretty good in Gotham.
Yeah, whereas this is just, like, again, another thing that kind of makes me think that maybe that the movie was, I mean, it's all hypothetical, like, maybe that the movie was supposed to start with the vlogger meeting up with a cop who's already in the middle of this investigation. Because something that really struck me about this movie was just how bad the pacing and the plot was introduced in the first 5 minutes of it. Like, it really felt like you'd walked into a movie, like, and missed the first 20 minutes of the first act.
Yeah.
Like, just right off the bat, like, the whole kidnapping investigation of Volk's daughter, like, as well as his relationship with Frank Penny, it's presented so awkwardly that it really feels like you've missed something. It's like, oh, he has a daughter. Oh, she's been kidnapped, and he and this other beat cop have a history together.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you mentioned Die Hard before, which was a coincidence, because it reminded me of Die Hard with a Vengeance, where it has a similar setup where, like, right off the bat, right from the beginning of the movie, you're introduced to this entire squad of other officers who John McClane has been working with for years. And even though this is, like, the third movie in a franchise, and we've never seen any of these characters before, like, and we're dropped, like, right into the middle of an investigation, and they're all playing their part. It's also well written that you feel like you've known all of these characters for, like, as long as you've known John McClane. Like, you feel like you've known all these people as captain, or you've only just met. Like, all of them, you feel like you've known them as long as we've known John McClane for, like, 2 other movies.
Yeah.
Whereas, this is, like, the complete opposite of that, and the writer can't even establish these characters as relatable or familiar with each other, even though they have the added benefit of using recognizable actors to make the introductions easier. Like, the fact that we know who these actors are playing these parts, and they're recognizable actors. We know this guy from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and we know Aaron Eckhart from all the movies he's been in. Like, them having, like, some kind of a bond would, like, should come off as a lot more natural. Just the fact that we already know the actors playing them, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and I also think this would have been enhanced a little bit more if, I don't know, it's introducing a Hollywood cliche, but if Ava had been related to Frank in some way, like, I kept on thinking of the relationship between Shannon Tatum's character and Joey King's character in White House Down, and how that just elevated everything, because, like, from Shannon Tatum's point of view, not only is he in danger, but his daughter is in danger. And I actually think it would have made it more believable if they'd almost made Ava like that annoying daughter who's a vlogger and she wants to get, like, her dad's work, or if she'd been like a vindictive, like, separated daughter who's trying to trap her cop dad, like, on video kind of thing. It would give her more of a reason for why she was there. But it would also give more of a reason for why he just doesn't tell her to get lost, kind of thing. So, it's just one of those movies where, I don't know, maybe Aaron Eckhart needed a housing extension or a pool. But you wonder why he read the script and agreed to do it. Like, it's just... He's not someone that you normally think of for bad movies. Like, the guy normally picks pretty decent films in his career. So, I don't know, maybe it's a favor to a friend or something like that, or a...
paycheck movie, maybe, I don't know.
Or a contract movie. Like, sometimes you get things where, like, an actor is signed to a studio or something, and they have to make this many movies in this amount of time, kind of thing. I don't know, but yeah, just... It feels weird that, like, like, this is going to sound really bad, but there's so many, like, average actors out there who would jump at the opportunity to be in this film that you kind of wonder why someone who I consider to be an A-list actor is slumming it in the film. So,
I mean, like, something which also, like, really disappointed me, like, beyond, like, the actors that are in it, is that the movie actually, it did have potential. Like, it seems, it does seem to have had a decent budget. Like, they've been able to cobble together, like, a recognizable cast, for one, but, like, the movie actually does seem to have some decent production value behind it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at one point, the movie seems to be, like, filming down the same alleyways, and there's really, like, awful CGI whenever there's an explosion. Like, and that's the kind of stuff that I expect from, like, really bad B-movies nowadays, right? But, like, then the movie surprises me by, like, having the huge streets shut off in the middle of the day so they can film, like, a massive gunfight, or they have, like, pretty, like, big car chases or car crashes, and, like, they use of helicopters during action scenes, and, like, that stuff isn't cheap. And, like, it feels very out of place with like, how extremely low quality the rest of the film is. Like, even with I think we might have mentioned, like, even with the latest Bad Boys movie, the major car chase that happens in that movie happens at night, and it felt like it happened at night so that they could shut down the streets, and so it would be easier to film and cheaper to film. Whereas this, it's like, no, they've got these huge action scenes. They've shut down, like, streets in the middle of the day, and, like, it does feel like it's had some decent money behind it, and maybe it's had even, like, some competent producers that have been able to get some of that stuff for the film, but yeah, it's just so awful in every other way that really matters.
Yeah. So, I guess the important thing to finish off is, what are you going to give this one out of 5?
I'm going to give this 1 out of 5. Yeah, I think it might be the lowest score I've ever given anything on the show.
Yeah, because the other interesting thing, too, is in some countries, this has gone, and I guess including Australia, because for us it's gone straight to Netflix, but in most countries it's gone either straight to TV, as was the case in Spain, or it's gone straight to DVD. The only countries in the world where it actually opened in the cinemas were the USA, UK, and Indonesia. So, yeah.
That's why it feels so much like these straight to DVD Bruce Willis movies. Like, it really does feel like that. And yeah, I think the director has made a few of those in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it like. That's why I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5, because it does really feel like it could have had the potential to be a lot better than just some forgettable B movie.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. There was some parts of it that I did enjoy, but there was a lot of it where I just kept sitting there thinking, this movie could have been so much better if they'd done this or they'd done that kind of thing. And like I said earlier, when you're making crazy mistakes like having an exhaust on an electric car, it's like there was no thought put into it at all when they were doing this movie. So that's our review of Line of Duty. I should also point out that in some countries it's called In the Line of Duty as well. So depending on where you're listening to this might be what the film is called. But it's 1 star from Kyle and it's 2 stars from me. And that's it for this episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy. I've been Dave G.
And I've been Kyle.
And we'll be back soon with another episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy.